Regularly scheduled programs will not be seen tonight so that we may bring you the NFL football game live and in color.
Rosen keeps it, fires. Dart in the slant, and Thomas Duarte, the tight end, a one-handed catch and a touchdown.
Kaepernick gets it away, and it's intercepted. And racing into the end zone is Justin Bethel.
Takes a shot downfield, and James Jones and Rodgers have done it again.
Long middle of the field, looking for Dorsett, leaping, grand touchdown, Colts. Leonard Fournette into the secondary with another gear. Touchdown. It's Ryan out to his right looking for Jones. He's got it. Touchdown.
Dalton throws. A.J. Green at the 50. Green off to the races. Green still going. A.J. Green at the 5. Touchdown, Cincinnati.
Welcome to Basically a Football Show.
Basically a football show. We'll start as we normally do with the National Football League. Start on Thursday as the Giants had a pretty impressive showing there against Washington in a 32-21 win over Washington in the Meadowlands. Washington's now 1-2 and the Giants are 1-2, and all of a sudden the rest of that division is tight now because of the injuries around that division.
I think that this is a game where it's just two bad teams. One of them looked better than the other, and if the Cowboys were still healthy and Philadelphia were even a little bit on track, this game would have absolutely no interest to anyone. And that's not to say that these teams won't be in it, because they very well may be.
Eli looked really good in this game.
Kirk Cousins, he still hasn't turned into a pumpkin yet.
No, but again, tightens up the division if that means anything. But let's move on to Sunday, and let's talk about the division. As you mentioned, the Eagles get their first win of the season, a 24-17 win over the Jets. Really, I think it was the Eagles' defense that was the more impressive of their units in this game.
One passing touchdown from Sam Bradford. It went to a running back. Jordan Matthews still not really involved in the offense.
And no points in the second half.
No points in the second half. And I know that everybody wants to say, oh, the Eagles, they figured it out and all that. I don't think so. I think you had a Jets team coming off two pretty tough games that they had to play. They come home and they just were flat for this game, and the offense wasn't clicking. And we talked about it. Ryan Fitzpatrick has to play a certain way for the Jets to win, and I don't think he was quite up to the level he needed to be. I saw him make some bad passes.
He had to throw 58 times in this game. 35-58, 283, not bad. But 58 throws from Fitzpatrick is not what you want for that Jets team.
You're in trouble. Brandon Marshall had a good game. He finally kind of showed up for the Jets. 10 receptions, 109 yards, and a touchdown. But if Fitzpatrick's throwing 58 times, more than likely the Jets aren't going to win.
I think the most interesting thing for the Eagles, too, DeMarco Murray didn't play in this game.
Yeah.
So kind of a big letdown in terms of offseason signings for DeMarco Murray.
Do you think the Eagles, are they back on track, or is this just one of those, or if this is a game that takes place in Week 13, we're not even talking about it?
Yeah, it tightens up the division because, as we'll talk about here in a second, the Cowboys lost, obviously, without their injuries. They were close to a win but couldn't hold on to it. The Eagles have some easy games coming up here. They're at Washington. They're against the Saints. They're against the Giants. They're at the Panthers. So they could get themselves back into this thing by the time they play the Cowboys in week 8 or so.
If they can put together 2 or 3 more wins and get to a point where it looks like things are working pretty well, I might buy back into them. But right now, like I said, I see it as a team that they played a flat Jets team that doesn't have a good offense and got a win that I don't think is as impressive as it may seem on the outside.
Speaking of the other team in that division, the Dallas Cowboys, they lose their first game without Tony Romo, 39-28. Actually, they still looked pretty good there in that first half. They were up 24-20. At the half, but the second half was all Falcons as they just kept handing the ball off to Devontae Freeman. 30 carries for 141 yards and 3 TDs for the Falcons running back as the Falcons, your team, Greg, moves up to 3-0.
And Julio Jones having another great week.
Yeah, huge
week. But Devontae Freeman, that's not a 30-carry-a-game back, but boy, for one game, he sure got the job done. I don't remember who said it on the boards, but I'm going to quote someone from the boards that I thought covered this game perfectly. They said that with Brandon Weeden, the Cowboys were fine as long as they kept him within what he was able to do. It was the minute that they had to make him do things he's not capable of doing is when they got in trouble.
28 points from a Brandon Weeden Cowboys team isn't bad.
No.
But I think this says a little bit more about the Falcons' offense because the Cowboys' defense had been pretty good the first 2 weeks.
I think the Cowboys at this point, what is this, week 1 of the 8 that they're going to be without Romo and Des Bryant?
Yeah.
I said they had to go at bare minimum 4-4 over those 8 weeks. They're already down 1. I don't think you're going to wait too much longer if you're Jason Garrett and Jerry Jones before you pull the trigger on Matt Castle, because I just think you have to at this point. He's got the experience.
Well, he only came in midweek.
Right, I understand that.
He got traded to them an hour after we finished the podcast last. So he didn't get a full week of practice in. You're not going to throw a guy into the game with 1 week of practice.
No, absolutely not.
I think if things start to go south early on Sunday, then you might, even in the second quarter, say, you know what, Brandon, we got to go with Matt.
I think ultimately, as this stretch progresses, guaranteed by the middle of it, Matt Castle will be your starting quarterback, provided he stays healthy.
So the Falcons beat the Cowboys. They stay 3-0. The other 3-0 team in that division is the Carolina Panthers. Cam Newton leads the team 315 yards in the air, 2 touchdown throws, 1 touchdown run. In a 27-22 win over the Drew Breesless Saints, as Luke McCown started for the Saints, who are now 0-3, and they look terrible.
Good night. They're done.
Yeah. This era of Saints football is done.
We talked about it during the preview a few weeks back that they were headed down the other side of the hill. I think they've hit the point where they're not going to climb back up. It's you get to a point where, okay, you might still be able to climb back up and get back into the playoffs, or you reach a point where it's done and you've got to start rebuilding. I think they have slid into the rebuilding mode. But with this Panthers team, I thought about this when I was watching them on Sunday. Isn't this the Panthers team we expected last season?
Yeah, no, this is the type of Panthers football that you expected from them. You know, hard defense, being able to run the ball well, Cam Newton controlling the game. This is what you want from the Panthers, I think. They did make a big trade, too, with getting
yes, they did.
Jared Allen from the Bears.
Yes.
For, like a 7th-round pick?
Yeah, I like that move. What do you think?
I do, too. You know, Jared Allen, when he's motivated, he can be a very, very, very productive defensive end, especially in the pass rush. This Panthers defense, as good as it already is, you add him into the mix, it's not a bad thing.
A rare big-name trade in the NFL during the season. Yeah. Yeah, I just want to say, too, quick on the Bears. I think that pretty much gives you all you need to know about the Bears this season. They're already looking forward to next year. Yeah,
let's talk about those Bears. Just a dismal performance against the Seahawks on Sunday. It was only 6-0 at halftime, and they're in it, but Jimmy Clausen is garbage. And the Seahawks, thanks to a special teams touchdown on something that's run rampant over football this last weekend, was that fake punt return. I think it happened like 3 or 4 times in college and the pros, where they did the thing where the returner runs to one direction and one of the cornerbacks runs the other direction, and they fake it out, and somehow nobody's caught on that this is something that people do, and Richard Sherman took it back for the touchdown. So the Seahawks offense still isn't exactly where you want it to be.
No.
Jimmy Graham got his first touchdown. I heard somebody talking about this. I don't know if Jimmy Graham was ever going to fit in with the Seahawks, because in his time with New Orleans, he was basically a wide receiver. The Seahawks, at the base of it, they're a running team. They're a power team, and he's not a blocking tight end.
No, but that's what he has to play on, figure 60% of the downs minimum?
Uh-huh.
I think you see that a lot with teams in the NFL, where we're seeing it with DeMarco Murray, too. He's a great fit for the way the Cowboys play football. He's not a read option running back.
No.
He's a line up, run the ball in between the tackles, do what he's got to do. And we're seeing it here with Jimmy Graham, not a blocking tight end. He's a wide receiver that lines up on the line, basically.
For the Seahawks, again, the offense just isn't working yet, and it's good for them to get a big shutout victory at home to get their first win, but still not impressive. The win helps, and if they can get rolling again, then they'll be right in the conversation, but they still got a lot of work to do in terms of getting their swagger back. I think.
But don't you think, though, that the defending NFC champions should have had an easier – now, granted, 26-0 is not exactly like they had a tough time with them.
Right, but it was still 6-0 at half.
6-0 at halftime, and this is a Bears team that I think – realistically could be the worst team in football right now.
Yeah. We'll stick with the Seahawks NFC West cohorts as I think we have a contender for best team in the NFC.
Yes. With
these Arizona Cardinals. 47-7, they run all over the 49ers. Kaepernick was garbage. Through 3-4 interceptions, 2 of them returned for touchdowns. And with Carson Palmer at the helm, these Cardinals look good. Larry Fitzgerald looks revitalized.
Yes.
Chris Johnson, 22 carries, 110 yards, and 2 TDs on the ground. They look damn good with that defense and Carson Palmer staying upright. The Cardinals are a big threat.
They are averaging 42 points a game right now.
That's insane.
Which, when you talk about it, the way we talked about them coming into the season, if they could average 28 points a game, they were going to be real, real tough. because we were just kind of like the offense just has to score enough. Let the defense do its thing. The offense doesn't kill them, and they're going to be good. Well, guess what? They're scoring points like crazy. Now, I don't know if they can maintain this pace. I doubt anybody can in the NFL, except maybe the Patriots. But wow, do they look good so far. And like you said, Larry Fitzgerald revitalized. And I'm going to say it again, because I'm never going to stop harping about this to all the people that said Colin Kaepernick was the better choice over Andrew Luck. Really? I don't know why this guy's still taking snaps in San Francisco. I just don't get it. He is god-awful, period.
Because the backup quarterback is Blaine Gabbert.
Well, that's their fault.
And Tom Sula is a terrible coach.
Yeah.
They got the first win of the season against what was one of the worst football games I've ever seen in my life in that Monday night game. Since then, in the last 2 weeks against the Steelers and the Cardinals, two legitimate, contenders, the Niners are garbage.
It's another perfect example of why you don't get too terribly excited one way or the other after week one, because basically that 49ers win looks an awful lot like when the Titans, I forget who they blew out last year in week one. The Chiefs in week one, you're going, hey, well, maybe, and no, this is a bad team, and that one win might be one of only 3 or 4 they get all season. They're god awful, and boy, did they fall fast.
So the 49ers fall to 1-2, Cardinals 3-0. They have a 2-game lead over all 3 teams in their division, including the Rams, who, again, we were really excited about their week 1 win over the Seahawks. Only 6 points in a 12-6 loss at home to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The big story, of course, is the loss of Ben Roethlisberger. Strained MCL, out for 6 to 8 weeks, I believe. So now the starting quarterback for Pittsburgh is Michael Vick, who didn't look too bad in relief on Sunday, but only 12 points for the Steelers in a 12-6 win on the road.
At least they're not in the situation the Cowboys are in, where if you sat down and you said, okay, I'm going to lose my quarterback for a month, maybe 2, who would you rather have, Michael Vick or Brandon Weeden?
Mike Vick's a legitimate quarterback. He knows how to play in the league at the very least.
Exactly. And I got a sneaking suspicion. Mike Tomlin's a great, great head coach. They're going to set up a game plan where they're going to minimize the stuff that Vic does that gets them in trouble and maximize the stuff that he's good at. And I think they'll be okay. Again, another team, especially in that division, because right now you can count the Ravens are out of it. The Browns are not going to be a serious threat. So all they've got to do is basically not even keep pace, but just kind of hold serve with the Bengals. And maybe, you're out, say Roethlisberger's out 6 weeks, go 3-3, they're going to be okay. And that's all Vic's got to do here. So I'm not nearly as worried about the Steelers as I would be about the Cowboys.
Yeah, and even with Roethlisberger out, Antonio Brown still got over 100 yards. Le'Veon Bell was fine on the ground, but I think they need to lean on that running game a little bit more now that Vic's going to be under center. So we'll see how they take that. And so they move up to 2-1. And as you said, trying to keep pace with the rest of the division as the Bengals come up with a big win in Baltimore. The Bengals are 3-0, and they're a strong 3-0 right now.
Yes, they are. They really are. They've been very impressive out of the gate. And who was it that said, it was John Harbaugh. He said, I sure hope we learn how to cover A.J. Green, and I hope it's not after he retires that we figure it out.
Yeah, 10 receptions, 227 yards, and 2 TDs for Green in this game.
You know what I noticed about the Bengals in this game is it was turning into a typical Bengals game. They got the lead, let it get away from them, and usually they lose at that point. This time they didn't. They came back and won, and that might be a big difference with this team this year. I don't know, but they look solid right now. And
well, do you think that that's more of a praise of the Bengals or an indictment of the Ravens?
It's probably a little of both, somewhere in the middle somewhere, because we talked about it. Losing Terrell Suggs is going to hurt them a lot.
Yeah, that defense is not the same.
But still, Andy Dalton made some clutch plays. This division, as it stands right now, is theirs to lose. Mike Vick might come out and go 5-1 in Ben Roethlisberger's absence, but I'd seriously doubt it. You're probably looking at the Steelers. You're probably going to have a 2 or 3 game lead by the time Roethlisberger comes back. All you've got to do is just keep playing consistently, and you should win the division. So now it's going to be really interesting to see if Andy Dalton has really become a full-fledged NFL quarterback, or if we're still going to see him make some of the stupid mistakes he's made over the years.
We'll move through the AFC North again, and we'll touch on the Browns real quick. They lose 27-20 to a Raiders team that looks pretty good.
They're not bad, and
offensively, at least they look a very competent team.
Derek Carr is turning out to be a pretty good quarterback for that team.
He is, and I said it before the year. I was confident in his ability. Amari Cooper, I thought was going to be a big addition for them. 8 receptions, 134 in this game, and Latavius Murray, who had that one just popped off game last year against the Chiefs on like a Thursday night, has a big game here today. 26 carries, 139 and a touchdown. Granted, against the Browns, against the All Browns.
Oh boy!
Really, just when you think those uniforms can't get worse, they find new ways to do it. But the Raiders look pretty decent.
Well,
they're not gonna be a playoff team, but you know what? They're on the way. They look nice.
I'm not ready to jump on and say they're a playoff contender at this point, but the way that division's shaping up right now,
yeah,
they might be in it just because there's no one else left to be in it. But
honestly, the way the rest of the conference is shaping up.
Exactly. I mean, it's not a good conference. Neither conference. I mean, other than the top few teams, there's a whole lot of who knows what in there. And what I noticed about the Raiders when they played the Browns is that compared to the past few years, they're playing smart now. They're not making the same dumb mistakes they always made, which is huge. And I just real quick on the Browns. This sums up the Cleveland Browns since 1999 so perfectly. They're down 2013. They put together a nice drive, score a touchdown, get within 7 with 6 minutes to go. They punt the ball away, get the Raiders on a 3-and-out, and then fumble the ensuing punt. And the Raiders get the ball back. Now, the Raiders didn't score, but they pinned the Browns at the 2-yard line. There you go. That's it. The other McCown, Zeppo, throws an interception. Game over. That is the Cleveland Browns in a nutshell. And
when's the last time we had 2 McCowns starting on a weekend, by the way?
I don't think it's ever happened. I thought I read that somewhere.
God.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, I like the way the Raiders look. They're playing good football right now, and the Browns are just the Browns. It's you can get all the hope you want, but they're still terrible.
How quickly do they go back to Manziel?
I'm surprised they didn't. I can't believe they let McCown start this game because he didn't. I guess he put up better overall numbers, but I didn't see a lot of stuff that I got terribly excited about. I mean, Manziel may not complete 80% of his passes or whatever, but he's still got the big play capabilities that I don't think McCown has. And the team seems to play better under Manziel. I don't know.
The Raiders moved to 2-1, which puts them in second place in the division because the Chargers, they're not that great right now either. Just like the last time they went to Minnesota, all the way back in 2009, Adrian Peterson runs all over him. If you remember the last time they went there, that was when Peterson ran for 236. This time he gets 20 carries, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns. As the Vikings, after that opening loss, they've rebounded with 2 very solid victories and a 31-14 win over the Chargers. And the Vikings are 2-1. The Chargers are 1-2 and not as hot.
Chargers, just like we said at the preview, they're just a weird team. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
I'm done trying to predict what they're going to do. They might end up running the table and going 14-2 the rest of the way. I really don't know. I doubt it, but I like my irrational confidence Vikings. I told you these guys are going to be tough, and they're playing good football. They're doing it right. Adrian Peterson's going to be your feature back. Don't ask Teddy Bridgewater to do too much. The defense is pretty solid, and they're going to win some games. I like them as a playoff contender still.
On the Sunday night game, the Broncos with a pretty good-looking victory and a 24-12 win over the Lions. Lions fall to 0-3.
Yeah.
They're not good. The Broncos 3-0. Not the most impressive 3-0, but Peyton Manning looked a little bit more like Peyton Manning in this game as they kind of let him run the offense more the way that Peyton Manning should be running an offense. 31-42, 324, and 2 touchdowns for Manning. Demaryius Thomas, 92 yards, 9 receptions, a touchdown in the victory.
What made this Broncos game different from the first 2? We're going to let Peyton Manning be Peyton Manning. And wow, this one got a whole lot easier, didn't it? They even talked about it during the game. I can't remember who brought it up, but they said, why would Gary Kubiak force an offense on a 39-year-old first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback? And I said, I've been asking that same question on a podcast you guys have never heard of. But yeah, I have the same questions. And I think that this just illustrates it perfectly. Let Peyton Manning do what Peyton Manning does, and the Broncos are going to be good because that defense is ferocious. They're going to be fine on defense. It's just a matter of putting up the points. And if he keeps trying to cram this running game down their throats, they're going to struggle like they did the first 2 weeks. But this week, let Peyton do his thing, and it was an easy win for him.
We'll go to Peyton Manning's old team, my current team, the Indianapolis Colts. They pull out of the fire.
Yeah.
A 35-33 win over the Titans for their first win of the year. They're 1-2. The Titans are 1-2. Oh man!
Did you watch this game?
I didn't get a chance. I was on the airplane, but
I watched all of it.
I saw the highlights.
I watched all of it. Yeah.
Just like it's just so much of what this Colts team does showed up in this game. They weren't good in this game. They weren't very good, but some turnovers by the Titans, some good interceptions there by the Colts to get this victory. And really, again, they held on because of a failed 2-point conversion where they handed off to the running back who, instead of trying to get anything, just kept running backwards.
Yeah.
With Marcus Mariota just backpedaling behind him. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
How many times do you see a running back go for a loss of like 16 on a 2-point conversion play? Yeah. But that's what happened.
No, they got lucky. The Colts got lucky to win this game, and
I agree.
I'm still not anywhere impressed with the Colts. You know, you listen to a lot of them after the game. They said, "Oh, this win is big. If this jumpstarts us, that's great." I didn't see anything really to say that this is the game that's going to jumpstart them on their road back to being a competent football team. They looked fine. You know,
first off, you're right. That offensive, I watched all of this game. I put it on my iPad.
Offensive line is bad.
It's terrible. The defense isn't so hot either. And I really think that a team with more experience, with better experience, guys that are more used to playing in the NFL than the Titans would have held on and won that game. The Colts took advantage. I tell you this too. If you don't have Andrew Luck, you don't win that game. It's that simple.
Yep.
There's maybe two other quarterbacks in all the NFL that could have pulled off what he did in the second half of that game. And that's why they won. I mean, I really thought, okay, if they get the win here, that might help. But man, oh man, even though they won, they still didn't look good doing it. I mean, they got the job done, and that's important. But there are a lot of problems with that team. Just a lot of problems. And that offensive line is the most glaring one they have.
Yeah, I mean, the Colts, next week they get the Jags, which should be a victory. If it's not, then, again, more issues than you thought. Then the week after, you get the Texans, who got their first win, and yeah, their defensive line's not good or anything. They don't have any talent there that can burst through that porous offensive line. And then the week after that is the freaking Patriots. And we'll talk about it here briefly, or we'll touch on it now. The Pats lay down 50 against Jacksonville. How many points are they going to score against this Colts defense?
Again, what you might see when they play the Colts, you might see a high-scoring game. I don't know. But I had so much confidence with this Colts team going into the season, and I got to sit down and actually watch them, and I thought, man, they not only are they not what we thought they were, but they've regressed in certain areas. Yeah. Frank Gore finally showed up and did a little bit in this game, but I just think, my God, if they didn't have Andrew Luck, how bad would they be? And they'd be pretty bad. Mm-hmm. It's just it's going to be tough, but fortunately for them, they're in a division they can still win. And once you get to the playoffs, anything can happen. We saw them back when Peyton Manning was still there. They couldn't stop the run to save their lives, got in the playoffs, and all of a sudden found a run defense, and I think they made a Super Bowl run. I don't remember. Yeah,
they made it to the Super Bowl twice with Peyton. They beat the Bears and Rex Grossman in the rain in Miami, and lost on the stupid onside kick to start the second half against the Saints. But yeah, in both those cases, it was Peyton Manning covering up for a lot of deficiencies they had, and I think I talked about this before with this Colts team. Andrew Luck can win them games because of just how good he is.
Right.
Not with the same margins that Peyton Manning did. Like, Luck is an extremely good quarterback. He's not Peyton Manning in that sense. He can be efficient and accurate and grind the team out, but he can't lift the team completely on his back like Peyton used to do.
No, there's not many people can do that.
And you see, like, even when he plays his best and helps the team kind of pull one out of the fire like they did in this, he still threw two pretty bad interceptions.
Right.
Because the offensive line doesn't give him the time, and the receivers, as they are, can't get the separation. Like, there's not a Marvin Harrison or a Reggie Wayne on this team right now. They're just not even close.
No, you got T.Y. Hilton, and
T.Y. Hilton's good. Moncrief is good.
Kobe Fleeters is a good tight end, but these aren't guys. Marvin Harrison, I think, is a Hall of Fame wide receiver.
Yes,
he might already be in for all I know. I don't know, but
he's. I think this last year was his first year of eligibility. He didn't get in yet.
But he's a Hall of Fame wide receiver. Reggie Wayne is a very, 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 very good wide receiver, and they just don't have that now. Yeah. And
Colby Fleener's not Dallas Clark either.
No, but
he was a very good tight end. Yeah.
I also think too that something that Luck does that Manning didn't is Manning wasn't as quick. Manning doesn't force things when things aren't working.
Throws it away.
Yeah, and Andrew Luck is like, hey, I've got to make something happen here, and he does, where Manning's a little more patient in that respect. But I sit back, if you ask me today, do I think the Colts can make the Super Bowl? I'd tell you no way, not a way in hell. There's just no way.
No, I mean, at the beginning of the year, our Super Bowl was the Colts and the Cowboys.
Yeah, probably not going to happen.
Yeah. But speaking of the other teams, as we mentioned, the Patriots 51-17 over the Jags. Tom Brady with a big day, a couple more touchdowns. Rob Gronkowski, big day, big whoop.
Well, here's the thing with the Patriots I wanted to talk about real quick.
Yeah. By the way, the Patriots so clearly far above every other team in this league right now.
But
right?
Are they really?
I think so.
I mean, let's look about. I mean, they beat the Steelers, all right, but it was a close game. They beat the Bills, but the Bills put up points. And, they beat Jags.
They put up points after they were down 21.
Well, okay.
And then they blow out the Jags like they're supposed to. They get the Cowboys next week. The Colts the week after.
Right.
The Jets the week after that.
I'm just trying to look for any kind of hope here, I guess.
No, I think the Patriots are far and away the best team in the league. And below them on the next tier are teams like Arizona and Green Bay over in the NFC. When it comes to the AFC, the Colts aren't there. The Broncos.
Well, you got the Bengals right now.
The Bengals are good, but they're not Patriot good.
No, not even close.
No, they're a good football team. They're not a Patriot good football team when it comes to the East. But I don't know.
But it's the playoffs. Anything can happen. But yeah, they look a lot like they did in 2007 after the whole Spygate thing. They're in total FU mode. And that's just not a way you want to face a Patriots team. When the last thing you want to do with the defending Super Bowl champion is give them motivation. And that's what the NFL did it. Nobody else had to do it for them. The NFL did it. And now they're motivated again. And that's just what you don't want.
By the way, it was announced today that the NFL's appeal of Tom Brady's ruling will be heard as early as the week of February 1st, 2016.
Oh, hey, well, that's good to know.
Yeah, good. Just before the Super Bowl, we can get back into this.
Right, exactly.
Wouldn't it be fun if the Patriots are the team in that Super Bowl and we get to talk about Deflategate 2 Super Bowls in a row?
I say we make a pact right now that we do not talk about it no matter what.
No,
on this show anyway. We're not. That's it. No.
No, I think on all of our platforms.
Yeah.
Deflategate/Ballghazi is not in our vocabulary anymore.
No, but yeah. So is that it? Did we cover everybody?
No. Elsewhere, again in the Patriots division, the team that's fighting for
that's right.
card spot. This was a big game in terms of because you had picked the Dolphins at the beginning of the year. I'd picked the Bills. We kind of thought they were equal terms, and we said it would probably come down to who won the games between them. Well, the Bills made the first big statement in that race with a 41-14 win over the Dolphins. They were up 27-0 at half. The Bills looked really good, ran the ball especially well with Carlos Williams, and the Dolphins did not look good.
No.
Only 14 points there in the second half. And what was kind of a dismal performance at home for them in a 41-14 win for the Buffalo Bills.
Well, remember when the Dolphins, who they beat the first week? Jacksonville, I think it was?
Washington.
Or Washington the first week of the season, and we said, wow, they didn't look great doing it, but that's the way they play.
They beat Washington and they lost to Jacksonville in their last second field goal.
Right, and now they've lost 2 in a row, and they just got slaughtered. I mean, the Bills just were clearly, on this day anyway, the better team of the two. And it's Tyrod Taylor. Is he the answer in Buffalo?
It seems like it.
He's not a bad player.
He's not just managing the games. He's managing it well and doing just that next bit more to get them over the top. So, I mean, you saw them trying to make that late comeback against the Patriots, and although they didn't win, I think they might have found something in themselves that they took forward into this game and obviously unleashed it against the Dolphins. And I think the Bills are in a good spot right now.
Yeah.
See who they got next. They get the Giants, Titans, then another big showdown against the Bengals, Jaguars, Dolphins, Jets. Bills are in the sit pretty right now.
Is Tyrod Taylor the best quarterback Rex Ryan's had so far?
I guess.
I mean,
Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, I mean,
Tebow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Exactly. You're not picking from a big lot there, but he just might be.
I just, when we went into the season, we're like, Tyrod Taylor, really, he's played pretty good football so far. And this team, they're getting it done, man. And just the Dolphins, we talked about, this was an important game between these two teams because going in, we thought they were pretty evenly matched, and the Dolphins just didn't even show up. Mm-hmm. And they've just got I don't know. I mean, I didn't see anything in the Dolphins that makes me think that they're going to suddenly turn it around and get good again. But then I've thought that about this team before, and they turn around and run off 3 or 4 wins in a row. But the Bills are clearly the better of the two teams, I think.
Yeah. And also, besides the Bills looking good, they looked good. Those uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
Against that teal end zone looked really nice.
Yeah.
Last game on Sunday.
Oh, wait. I was just going to say these two in November are both wearing throwbacks. The Bills will be in the white road throwbacks. The Dolphins wear those 50th anniversary throwbacks. I can tell you right now, it's going to be my number 1 game of the week, whatever week that is. You just mark it down. Okay, go ahead.
Last game on Sunday was the Bucs and the Texans, and the Texans get their first win of the year, 19-9. Not a game of all the games of the weekend. This is the one you write the least about.
Yeah.
J.J. Watt finally didn't get a sack for the first time in a long time. If you want to take that as a storyline And Jameis Winston was, middle of the road.
Well, here's the thing with J.J. Watt. Is he having a bad season, or is it just like after last year they're going to triple team the guy to make sure he doesn't beat them by himself?
I think you got to think it's that.
That's what I think it is too.
I think that if they're going to put that much pressure on him, when you add in guys like Vince Wilfork and a healthy Jadeveon Clowney, you'd think that they'd get some pressure out of the other sides of that line.
I haven't watched them. I mean, maybe they are. I haven't seen the team play that much this year, but
I don't know. But offensively, that's just this Texans team has nothing going for it. I mean, they got DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, he had a good game.
Alfred Blue had a good game on the ground, but he also had to have 31 carries. Ryan Mallett, maybe not the answer.
It's just it's a team like the Texans. You look at them and you go, boy, if they just had even like a Tyrod Taylor guy, they'd be pretty good. Because I think we talked about it in the preview that they're a quarterback short of being a fairly serious playoff contender.
Yeah, and they've had to deal with a lot of injuries with Arian Foster over the last few years.
Right.
They lose Andre Johnson, who, obviously not at the top of his game anymore, but if he was going to be a complimentary receiver to DeAndre Hopkins, that'd be a pretty good move for them.
Yeah. They're just, I'm kind of disappointed. I thought Ryan Mallett would be better than this.
Yeah. Let's move on to Monday, where your Green Bay Packers were the latest team to move up to 3-0 with a 38-28 win over the Kansas City Chiefs, who, as they noted on the broadcast, a matchup of Super Bowl I.
Yes.
Not a whole lot of matriculating the ball down the field for the Chiefs, though, in this one.
That was Super Bowl IV anyway, but okay.
Was that Super Bowl? Whatever. Not old, man. I just make things up.
How do you know I just didn't make that up? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But the thing I took out of this game, and it's something they mentioned on the broadcast too, but after I mentioned it to myself because I'm smart. Aaron Rodgers makes the most out of those free plays, doesn't he?
Oh, my God, yes. That's his bread and butter.
Whenever he gets that hard count, he gets the team to jump off sides, they just hurl it downfield, and they get it nearly every damn time.
He has done that so many times over the past few years. It seems, now I know it's not really this much, but it seems like one touchdown a game is off of a free play. But he's really good at it, and he really does take advantage of it, yeah.
The other thing of note in this game, the Kansas City Chiefs threw a touchdown to a wide receiver.
Yes.
Jeremy Maclin breaks the streak there for the Chiefs. I know, it wasn't even a long route. It was just kind of like a bunch right next to the tight end that the Packers kind of lost who was covering who. And it was like a 3-yard pass.
Right. Hey, it counts though, right?
Yeah, but it counts. They get a touchdown to a wide receiver.
Yeah, I want to take Mike Tirico and John Gruden to task on that because I was ready to use that play in the open of the show this week because I thought they'd make a big deal out of it. And all they did was like, it just ended. And it's like, come on, guys. That would have been a really cool. Yeah, I know. All right. But, I don't know. The Packers defense still worries me at times. It's like they can play well, but they can't seem to play well for an entire game.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest concern. The offense is fine. I think that the loss of Jordy Nelson hasn't hurt nearly as bad as I thought it was going to.
James Jones is
getting it done, man.
Yeah.
And, they're the Packers. They're going to be okay. I wish the Chiefs were a little bit better. I couldn't root for them to win last night, but I wish they were 2-1 instead of 1-2.
Yeah. Well, cause you look at, that division and the Broncos are 3-0, but not impressively so. San Diego isn't impressive. Oakland's 2-1, and that's nice, but these Chiefs should be better than Oakland is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They gave away a game to the Broncos last week.
They did.
The only way you can put it. And who'd they lose to in week 1? I don't remember now.
Well, they beat the Texans 27-20.
They beat the Texans week 1, and then, but the Packers loss is expected. The Broncos loss, I guess you could kind of say it was expected, but the problem with that was they had it and gave it away, and that's one of the, we've talked about it a million times. Teams like this need to, if they got a chance to win a game they're not supposed to win, they've really got to get it, and they didn't get one they should have had there. But they should be okay.
Any easier for them next week as they're at Cincinnati. So
ooh,
it'll be hard. Chiefs will be hard pressed to get back into things once they're if they get to 1-3.
But here's the thing this is where we'll really get a good idea about the Bengals because in previous seasons, this Bengals team, this is the game they would lose coming up. Is when a Chiefs team comes in like this 1-2, you think the Bengals off to a great start should win this game and they go out and blow it and play terribly. So we'll see.
We'll see. Let's look ahead to next week real quick. If I can open this any faster than I talk. See, what do we got on the docket? Thursday's Ravens-Steelers. Mike Vick trying to stay where he is. And the Ravens, if they want any shot at getting to the playoffs, they have to do something this week.
There's no hope.
There's no hope, but, just
what was it? Teams that have started 0-3, it's happened like twice where they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I don't think this Ravens team is talented enough to get up off the floor after an 0-3 start and make a playoff run.
Oh, man, this is a weak slate of games.
Well, we got our first bye. Well, it's a bye week. Patriots and Titans are off next week.
Oh, we do have byes this week?
Just one, yeah. Patriots, Titans are the only two that are off.
Okay.
We have our first London game of the year.
Is that this week too?
It sure is.
There it is. Yeah, Wembley Stadium, 6:30 a.m. Pacific time.
Yeah, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time.
Jets Dolphins.
Yep.
And I'm so sorry, England. I'm really sorry. This is what we give you guys.
The Jets are a little bit better than they usually are, but
the Jets are fine. The Dolphins could be good, but they're not.
This should have been a good game, but it's not going to be.
No. Oh, geez. Let's see. Eagles, Washington, kind of important.
I'd say with that division being in the shape it's in right now, if one of these two wants to try to stay in contention, it's an important game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's see. Chiefs, Bengals, as we already mentioned, that'll be a big one for the Chiefs and a big one for the Bengals to show where they are. How many points do you think the Packers put up on the Niners?
Oh, is that at San Francisco?
Yeah, Santa Clara.
Boy, I don't know. The Packers aren't as good on the road. It's just a simple fact. They don't go out and hang up 40 points, 50 points a game on the road. So I'm going to say that game's going to be closer than you think it would be.
I guess your game of the week is Vikings-Broncos?
Ooh, that's an interesting game, I think. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna jump on my irrational confidence here, and I'm going to say the Vikings win this game. There you go.
Sunday night is Cowboys-Saints. Again, probably look better at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And Monday night is Lions-Seahawks. Again, not great.
Oh,
this is a weak NFL slate.
I hope there's some good college games next weekend.
Hopefully,
yeah. Not a good NFL slate at all.
We'll get you through it because that's what we do here at Basically a Football Show. To move over to the college football ranks, pretty straightforward week when it comes to college. The big games all happen on the West Coast, but we'll go through the current top 25. Ohio State stays at number 1 after a 38-12 win over Western Michigan. Little bit more offense there for your Buckeyes.
They're fine. Not worried about them. Yeah. Not worried about them. Cardell Jones, did he play the whole game this time?
I don't know.
Maybe he did. 19 to 33, 288, 2 touchdowns. I'm saying he probably played most of the game. Zeke Elliott, 124 yards. Typical day.
Yeah. Michigan State stays at number 2 with a 30-10 win over the Central Michigan Chippewas. Ole Miss stays at 3. They get 10 first-place votes with a 27-16 win over Vandy. And they split. They were tied with TCU last week, but TCU moves down from the tied at 3rd to number 4 after barely pulling out a shootout against Texas Tech. Did you see how this game ended?
I sure did. It was crazy.
TCU really survived this game.
Yes, they did. They did.
Tech should have won that game. Tech played better than TCU through the course of it. But just a miraculous touchdown catch is really all you could call it in the back of the end zone for the Horned Frogs. Lifts them in Lubbock for a 55-52 win over the Rebels. TCU's defense is a concern.
Yes, more so than I thought it was going to be. I really thought between TCU and Baylor that TCU had the better defense. I'm not so sure that even if it is better, it's not better enough to make a significant difference. This is a problem. Now, I don't know. Texas Tech might be halfway decent. I don't know. They're 3-1.
Yeah, they beat Arkansas the week before. Tech's not a bad team.
Yeah.
Tech's actually halfway decent. But a close one for TCU, but they stay at 4. Baylor stays at 5, and we wondered whether they could hold 100 on Rice. Only 70 points on the Rice Owls. 70 to 17.
Off the gas.
Notre Dame with a big win over UMass. And then we get to your new number 7 team in the country, the UCLA Bruins, who laid a beatdown on the Wildcats in Tucson.
Yes, they did.
On Saturday night.
I called that, by the way.
It was, 42-14 at half?
Yeah, well.
First 56-30 final. Josh Rosen, 19-28, 284, 2 touchdowns.
We talked about it. We said that Arizona was going to. We'd find out either Arizona's good or they're overrated, and I said they were probably overrated. And it turns out
UA was way overrated. They played nobody in the preseason,
right?
And it showed. They just weren't ready to handle a team with the talent that UCLA does have.
Are we ready to maybe change our position on UCLA yet or not?
UCLA is closer. They looked obviously really good in their first conference game here. They get a downtrodden ASU at home next week. But the game that will tell me whether UCLA is truly for real or not is 2 weeks. They travel to Stanford.
Oh, good luck with that.
Yeah. So, and they're going to have to run a gauntlet after that. I mean, they get ASU next week, who's, again, not who we thought they were at all.
Nope.
They go to Stanford. They go to Cal, who can score a ton of points. And they still, their last 2 games of the year, at Utah, who's now number 10, and at USC.
Yeah.
So UCLA still has a lot to work through.
Well, and this Utah team, I think Utah is pretty good.
Yeah, I think so too. We'll talk about them.
Yeah, we got to get to them because what they did was pretty damn impressive. Okay.
Yeah. So UCLA, good win there over the Wildcats of U of A. Georgia actually falls down a spot to number 8 after a 48-6 win over Southern. Good job. Louisville scheduling some power conference teams, power conference in quotes, as they go up to Syracuse and win in the Carrier Dome 34-24 over the Orange.
Oh, you mean LSU?
Yeah.
Oh, you said Louisville.
Oh, LSU.
LSU.
Yeah, LSU. The LSU Tigers. Number 9 in the country.
Rolling the dice, playing the Syracuse Orangemen. Wait, yeah. Oh, excuse me. The Syracuse Orange. Sorry.
Orange.
Right.
But now the new number 10 team in the country with a first place vote next to their name, the Utah Utes. They went into Autzen Stadium against number 13 Oregon, and man, they kicked the crap out of the Ducks.
Oh my God. Did you see any of this?
I saw the highlights. Just everything Utah could possibly do to Oregon, they did. Fake punt returns, fake punts executed. They did the same thing that we talked about with the Seahawks, where somebody else returned it when the main returner fooled everybody. They just were all over Oregon. The most points Oregon has ever allowed in Autzen Stadium. And going from number 13 to straight out of the rankings are the Ducks. They are unranked for the first time since 2009.
Wow.
Utah looks good.
They look real good. And look, I know Oregon's not, I think we both agreed that they probably weren't a playoff contender this year. But
I think, and we had some concerns about their defense, even after letting up 42 points to Eastern Washington in week 1. All that was evident with what Utah was able to do on offense in this game.
But to go into their stadium and do that to them, you don't see that ever. And Utah just dominated them. I mean, it was just a complete, thorough domination. And the Utes are impressive. It's like, whoa! All of a sudden here, we might have a new player on the field here.
I really think we do, because Utah, over the last few years, Utah's come up with some big wins to kind of ruin some seasons here and there.
Yeah.
And they've slowly just been, ever since they got into the Pac-12, they've been building up their team to be a fully competitive team in this conference. And they're right there. They're ahead of SC in Arizona and Arizona State in the South right now. They're one of 3 teams that's undefeated in their overall record. Only 4 teams that are undefeated in the conference records. So, Utah's going to give UCLA a fight. And again, they play in the second to last game of the year in Utah, up in Salt Lake City. So that's going to be a big game late in the year for the Pac-12. So can't wait till we get to that one.
And I just want to say too, I love Utah's uniforms in this game. I thought they looked great. Looked fantastic. Love the white helmet.
The mountain sleeve works for them.
Yeah.
Thing.
But yeah, 62 points in Autzen Stadium. Come on. Oregon, whoa. You can't let that happen.
Florida State and Clemson both didn't play. They slide down a spot each. Clemson gets a big game this weekend as they host number 6 Notre Dame in Death Valley. I think that'll expose Clemson as being bad.
Yeah, I have to agree. Part of me wants to say that maybe they knock off Notre Dame, and they could, but I don't think so. If I had to bet on it, I'm going with the Irish.
I think Notre Dame's more legit than you're giving them credit for, but
we'll see.
I don't think Clemson's that great.
No.
Alabama actually dropped down a spot after a 34-0 win over Louisiana Monroe. Interesting fact. Next weekend, they go to Georgia. They go to Athens to play in between the hedges against the Bulldogs. And Alabama's record streak of being they've been the favorite in every single game for like the last 72 games or something like that. That's the longest streak in college football history. Right now, I think it's close to being even in terms of the point spread, and they could be an underdog for the first time in Nick Saban's tenure at Alabama this weekend.
Kidding.
Yeah. So that's just a fun little note to throw.
I'm not that sold on Georgia just yet. I still like the Tide in this game. I mean, I would love to see Georgia pull it off, and I'd love to see them finally come through. But until
Georgia's
they do,
running game though, Nick Chubb is a damn good back. He's gonna, and the thing is, Alabama's still. I don't trust either of the quarterbacks they want to throw out there right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Alabama could very well lose, and there's been a lot of people that are already. For like every time that Alabama loses, it's the end of the Alabama dynasty. Nick Saban is going down. Is he going to leave Alabama after this year? Is he going to go to College Game Day? Is he going to go coach somewhere else? Stop it, please.
Yeah, Alabama. They're 3-1. They're ranked number 12, and I promise you, by the end of the season, barring there's a chance they could lose a couple times in the SEC this year because there's just some really good teams in the SEC this year. But more likely than not, they'll be in the playoff talk when we get to it. I guarantee it.
For the second year in a row, Texas A&M knocks off Arkansas in overtime. The Aggies stay at number 14 in the poll. Oklahoma didn't play. They stay at 15. Northwestern moves up a spot to number 16 after a beating of Ball State, although not really a beating, 24-19. Then there's this other game. USC moves up 2 spots to number 17 after eviscerating my poor Sun Devils in Tempe. Kind of like in the way that we looked at Auburn at the beginning of the year, the Arizona State Sun Devils were highly, highly overrated. They turned the ball over 4 times in the first half. An 83-yard fumble recovery. Just Arizona State wasn't good, but everything that went against them was just backbreaking. And they just couldn't. Well, they were with USC in this game.
One play that really illustrated that was they were at the USC 5-yard line, fumbled, and one of the linemen ran it back 83 yards the other way.
Right.
Yeah, that's just hard to get past. But I think we really missed on 3 teams this year. Probably the one we missed the most on was Auburn, followed by Arkansas, followed by your Sun Devils.
Yeah.
I don't think the Sun Devils are going to be quite as bad as the other two. They're still going to be, they're probably still going to win 8-9 games maybe, but we really missed the boat on these guys. They're just not as good as we thought they were going to be.
No, definitely not. Stanford, I don't know how they're still behind SC after they beat them the week before. I would put Stanford over USC right now, but they're number 18. They took care of Oregon State pretty well up in Corvallis, 42-24. Wisconsin moves up 3 spots after a 28-0 win over Hawaii. Oklahoma State's up to 20 after beating Texas. And the final 5 teams in the rankings, all new to the rankings this week. 2 of them we've seen recently, Mississippi State at 21, West Virginia at 23. But here's some interesting ones for you, Greg. How about the 3-1 Michigan Wolverines?
I said it last week on the show. Don't go to sleep on these Wolverines against BYU. Not only did they win, they shut them out.
Shut them out.
Our BYU Cougars
at the Big House. BYU, after 2 miraculous wins in the first 2 weeks, tight loss last week at UCLA, and that really kind of crushed them going into this week as they get shut out by the Wolverines, who were in the rankings for the first time since 2009?
Might be. It's been a while. I think they were ranked for a little while last year before they fell out early, I think, I want to say.
Cal jumps back into the rankings. They're 4-0 are the Cal Golden Bears with a win over Washington. Cal's defense not great, but Jared Goff as a quarterback with that offense, they put up points like you wouldn't believe.
I was just going to say, this is a team that's going to score a lot of points, so you better be ready for a shootout when you play them.
Yep, they get Oregon in 2 weeks. Utah in 2 weeks.
Oh, that'll be an interesting game.
Let's see, who do they play this week? They play Washington State this week. There'll be a lot of points in that one, too.
Oh, God. Can they put 100 up?
I don't know. And just before they go into host number 3, Ole Miss, the Florida Gators get back into the rankings.
Really?
For the first time since Michigan and Florida both fell out of the rankings the same week. Last time they're both in it. Both back in it the same week with the Florida Gators 4-0. They beat Tennessee in a tight one, and Tennessee, again, we thought Tennessee was going to take that next step. They lost a couple tight ones, and they're not where where many people hoped they'd be. But Florida, your number 25 team in the country.
Wow. Yeah, I guess we kind of missed on Tennessee a little bit, too. Just one other game I want to bring up. Our Duke Blue Devils, 3-1 after a big win over Georgia Tech.
Yep, Georgia Tech falls from the rankings after the Duke Blue Devils do knock them out. The other team that fell from the rankings was Missouri. They were 25. They lost to Kentucky over the weekend.
To Kentucky?
To Kentucky.
Oh, you don't want to do that.
So who's the number 26 team in the country, Greg?
Toledo Rockets.
Your Toledo Rockets.
Is that right?
Number 26 team in the country, 4 votes ahead of the Oregon Ducks. Toledo's ranked higher than Oregon. How does that make you feel?
Makes me feel good, and it's correct this year. My Rockets they got a couple of big wins. That Arkansas win was huge, and Iowa State's no good, but still a Power 5 conference. That's all I need to hear.
So let me see, who would be, if I'm looking at this correct, because they have to give one of the BCS spots to whoever's the highest ranked non-conference team.
Yeah.
You know who that is?
Is it the Rockets?
It's your Toledo Rockets.
All right.
Your Toledo Rockets are in contention for a New Year's Day bowl.
Send them to the Orange Bowl. I'll be down there. I could go to it.
That'd be fun, right?
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Probably get their ass kicked by, Ole Miss or something.
Probably, but hey.
Fun. So that is your top 25 in college. Looking ahead to next weekend, you got Clemson, Florida State on Friday. Or no. Oh, geez, that's – never mind. Rewind. For some reason it gave me week 10. That is incorrect. Okay. Going into next week, a couple ranked matchups. You got West Virginia, number 23, at Oklahoma, number 15. A decent game for the second tier of the Big 12. TCU hosts Texas. Texas not ranked, of course, but TCU, that offense.
Didn't Texas lose another heartbreaker this week?
Yeah, they did to Oklahoma State by 3. Another big game for their quarterback. So Texas can put up points. And if TCU's defense plays like they did against Tech, maybe some upset potential, but I wouldn't count on it.
I'd say the upset needle moves a little bit on this one, but not too much.
Slightly. But, if Texas Tech can put up the offense like they did, they're playing Baylor this weekend, number 5.
Oh, Jesus. I hope they have a scoreboard with 3 digits on that thing.
Well, it's going to be at the biggest one they can find in Texas. It'll be at Cowboys Stadium. So there'll be plenty of room to put up all the numbers on the big board. Alabama goes to Georgia, number 13 at number 8. That's
your game of the week, I think, right there.
I think so. I think that's where game day's going, is to Athens for that game. Although it's on CBS, so who knows. Ole Miss, number 3, they go to number 25, Florida. So a big weekend here in the SEC. Mississippi State at number 14, Texas A&M.
I'm putting out the upset alert on the Florida
Ole Miss
game. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Florida's defense has been really good so far.
I'm going to put the upset alert on that one. I think the Gators pull off the upset and get the win in that one.
That'll be tight. It'll be a tight one. We'll see about that. Oh, LSU, scheduling really tough. Eastern Michigan goes into Baton Rouge. It
has not been a good week and a half for the directional schools in Michigan.
No. As I said, Mississippi State, Texas A&M this is where game day's going. Game day's going to Clemson for number 6 Notre Dame at number 12 Clemson.
I'm going to put the upset alert on that one too. I know that's Clemson, but I just got a good feeling about this game. I'm going to say that the Clemson Tigers finally expose the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. You heard it here first, folks.
I don't think Clemson's that good. I'm going to give Notre Dame the edge in that one.
Okay.
And Michigan, their first ranked game, hosts Maryland to open up the
that's going to be
schedule.
ugly.
Ugh.
How did Maryland win 2 games this year? That's what I want to know.
I don't know who Maryland play.
Good question, but because they're pretty bad.
Let me see. They beat the Richmond Spiders.
Okay. And
the USF Bulls.
Wow, USF's really kind of taken a turn for the worse, haven't they?
But they also lost by 21 points to Bowling Green.
Yeah.
And what is that, 39 points to West Virginia last week?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's your week ahead in college football. Big weekend in the SEC in terms of ranked matchups, and the one big game in the faux ACC as Notre Dame has an agreement with the ACC to play Clemson. So we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah.
Things are shaping up. I like that we're finally into the meat of all this, whether it's the NFL, whether it's college. You're kind of getting a feel of who these teams are and what you're going to see. And you can really look a little bit further down the schedules and kind of whet your appetite for some of the bigger matchups that are potentially.
Yeah, we're getting into conference play, so we're going to get less and less of the powerhouse versus the directional school games, and that's always nice.
Yes. Anything else you got to say before we head out of here this week, Greg?
Go Buckeyes, as always, and a big test this week against undefeated Indiana in Bloomington.
Undefeated Indiana, who's played Southern Illinois, Florida International, Western Kentucky, and Wake Forest.
Okay, well, this might be a little bit of a tougher test for the Hoosiers, so we'll see what they're made of this week.
Yeah, we'll see what helmet they throw out this week too.
Oh, and they have some goofy ones, don't they?
They do. Go Sun Devils. At the very least, can you knock off UCLA in Pasadena this weekend? Oh, that'd be glorious. That'd be so nice.
You know that's exactly what's going to happen, don't you?
I hope so, man.
They've knocked themselves completely out of playoff contention, and now they'll come out and beat UCLA.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I hope so. Go Colts. You better beat the damn Jaguars. Come on. You're better than that.
Game's not as easy as it looks. I'll just say that.
It's definitely not as easy week to week. Any given Sunday, Greg.
Any given Sunday, yes, indeed.
For Greg, I'm Zach. This has been basically a football show. Follow us on all of our platforms. Be sure to follow everything in the Basically a Podcast network. We will talk to you next weekend. Enjoy the football.
An original Raider, Wayne Harkins.
I got that wrong that time.
Wayne Harkins. Shoot now. Come on, John.